What's up? What's up? What's up, people? How is it going? Hi, guys. How are you? How is it going? I hope you guys can hear me and see me. Drop a boom in the comment box. If you guys can hear me and see me, drop a boom. Awesome, awesome. If you guys, for all the people who have joined this session, this is the welcome call for the Growth School Web3 6-week program. I know there are few people on the Zoom and there are hundreds of people watching it being streamed live on YouTube as well. And if you guys are already on the YouTube session, this probably means that you have hit it to the top 1,000. So we're going to run you through everything that you need to know so that we can quickly get started with the Growth School Web3 program. All right. Before that, quick introduction. I'm Webhub. I'm the founder of Growth School, and I'm very, very, very excited to see all of you people. If you guys are ready to get started without any further ado, drop a comment LFG in the comment box and we will get started. LFG, guys, LFG. Awesome, 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 awesome. Brilliant. So let's get started. Okay, folks. And also all the people who are out there, you should definitely turn your cameras on. That way you guys can see each other, which is so cool, right? So try to like turn your cameras on. If you can, that'll be super cool. Other people can see you. People on YouTube can also see you. How cool is that? Okay, without further ado, let's just get started. Okay. Drop me a yes if you guys can see my screen. Drop me a yes if you guys can see my screen. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Looks like a lot of you people can see my screen. So I'm assuming everybody can. Okay, perfect. So guys, welcome to the Web3 program, which is by Growth School X Chingari, powered by Mudrex. And we have some amazing partners who have made sure that we are able to do this program flawlessly well. There's Tezos India, Dowlands, Arcana, and also we have our ecosystem partner, Builders Tribe, and our bounty partner, Consu Funds. With that being said, let's get started. I'm going to quickly run you through everything that I need to cover. The agenda for the live session. I'm going to take some 15-20 minutes. And the idea here is to run you through a few questions. That is, what is the 6-week Web3 program about? Of course, for even if there are people who still don't know what that is, what will happen in 6 weeks? What is that you're going to accomplish, learn, and do over the course of 6 weeks? What will be the schedule? Because there's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen over the course of time. So what's the schedule going to look like? Next, we're going to go with explaining you what community events are. And obviously, we spoke about a lot of awards, that is Oculus Quest, and there are a bunch of other prizes that you guys are supposed to win if you guys are in the top. So we're going to talk about that, who won it, followed by our very first session of the Web3 program. That is the first workshop by Akshay BD, where we'll talk about understanding Web3. It's a primer to Web3. Anybody who doesn't understand what Web3 is, you guys will get started. So will I. Right? So what is Growth School? Quickly. A platform which gives you real and practical education from top 1%, which will help you in your personal and professional growth. I'm assuming, how many of you people know Growth School or have seen Growth School or heard about Growth School before the Web3 program? Me in the comment box. Me in the comment box. Brilliant. That's awesome. Looks like a lot of people who know Growth School are part of this. That's very cool. And for people who don't know, you can Google, definitely. But the high level idea is to make sure you learn from people who you want to become the top 1%. That is. All right. Awesome. But the bigger question is, what is this 6-week Web3 program all about? The idea of this program is to kickstart your Web3 journey in 6 weeks. It is a program which will help you to build your knowledge around Web3, crypto, NFTs with a community that is a hub for a lot of Web3 enthusiasts and also experts. So you will be with a lot of people, who will be part of the Web3 ecosystem, and also people who want to build in the Web3 ecosystem. You could be a techie, non-techie, doesn't matter. We will help you to get you to understand the world of Web3 and how you can transition into Web2 to Web3 in the next 6 weeks. Guys, big request. I request you all not to drop links. We want you guys to focus on what is being said so that we are not getting deviated, right? You guys are top 1,000. So you guys are going to live up to that, right? So quickly, I want to understand what is that you guys do? At least for people who are on the Zoom chat right now, what is that you guys do? Are you guys a marketer, techie, designer, whatever that is? Drop it in the comment box. The bunch of students as well. You guys are NFT people, front-end developers. That's awesome. Freelancers, bug bounty, that is cyber security. Okay, looks like we're people from all over the facet. That is very, very cool. There's some Discord managers as well. How cool is that? Okay, I'm gonna pause it for just a while. That's awesome. Again, special shout out to all the partners for making this possible. Chingari, Mudrex, for all the support that you guys have been bestowing on us, and also the great associate partners, Tezos, Dowlands, and Arcana, and the ecosystem partners, Builders Tribe, and Konsu Fund. Guys, why don't we drop a boom for all these partners who are making sure this program is happening for free of cost for everybody? Awesome. Look at that. That is some intense energy here. Amazing, guys. Amazing. All right, moving on. Every week in this program, you will have 3 different sessions. That is 3 different workshops focusing on 3 major aspects. Yes, it is going to be super duper intense. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be chill. It's not going to be light. It's going to be a lot of learning, right? So what is that you're going to be learning? One is going to be subject learning. You'll be learning fundamentals, NFTs, DAOs, DeFi, DApps, futures, and opportunities, and all that stuff, right? That is the subject learning, the core learning of Web3. Next is the career building and transition. I know for a fact a lot of you people want or are keen to know if there's a possibility to transition from the Web2 world that most of us are in to a Web3 world. So there will be a bunch of sessions which are focused on career building and transition, where you will learn how Web3 works in design, product, marketing, community, tech, right? We'll be covering all these facets. And finally, practical implementation. We want you not just to learn, but also to do. So you will get a chance to do things by yourself, and you will apply all the technology in the real world. So by end of this, you're not just learning how the world of Web3 works, but also are a very small part of it if you are sticking till the end and doing everything that's possible, right? So why are we doing this program for free, right? Why is Growth School doing this program for free? We're definitely not an NGO, right? We definitely have to make money for living. But here's the thing, right? Web3 is the future, and there are a lot of amazing resources, but it is in a very nascent state. So getting the right people to learn from and getting the right community to learn from is extremely important. And we thought this is a great way to kind of expand into the ecosystem, right? And also, like I said, right, practical education. People need practical education. Web2, we have a lot of content. Web3, we do as well. But again, right, we're not there yet as we are with Web2. So this will definitely help. So that's the high level idea. We decided let's keep it for free, and let's make sure as many people as possible attend this. So what all are you going to learn in 6 weeks? We start with week 1. This is week 1 already, where we'll be understanding the fundamentals across, because obviously, right, we need to understand the fundamentals to go deep and learn more. So here you'll understand the primer to Web3, primer to crypto, and how to raise money on a blockchain. This is fundamentals. This is week 1. Week 2, we'll go a little deeper on DeFi, that is decentralized finance, a primer on DeFi, building Web3 products at scale using DeFi, and the wallet ecosystem. Right. Week 3, we'll jump onto DAO, which is decentralized autonomous organizations. Here, we'll have a primer session, like I said, how can you get involved with DAOs and building a DAO for the first movement, right? And then on week 4, we jump onto NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens. I'm assuming a lot of people know what NFTs are. Again, the same way, a primer to NFTs and metaverse, getting involved, how to create NFTs, how to get into metaverse, and what are NFTs and gaming, how do you get into it, what is play to earn, and everything around it. On week 5, we go to decentralized apps, or also called as dApps or DApps. Multiple people call it in different ways. Again, we're going to talk about the ecosystem, building a dApp for all the techies out there, and also non-techies who can just fiddle around and know how to copy paste code. You might be able to get started. And of course, the smart contracts, which is the ethos of Web3. Week 6, we're going to understand regulations, investing in Web3, and also the future of Web3. And that is how we are going to wrap up. This is going to be 6 week of intense learning and doing will be involved. And who's going to teach and mentor you? We always say you learn from the top 1%, and that's what Growth School does, right? So if you guys like the names, keep dropping booms so that the mentors, a lot of mentors will be on the session, and I want them to see that you guys are excited about it as well. Okay, we have 20 plus mentors and workshops. We have Akshay BD who will be starting a session. We have Sashank Udupa will be talking about innovation and Web3. We'll be covering fundamentals of crypto, which will be Idul, who's the CEO of Mudrex. Jayant from Mantra DO will be covering fundamentals of DeFi. Building DeFi products at scale will be covered by Aishwarya, who's from Polygon. The CEO of Chingari will be talking about building and raising on blockchain. We have Bill from Mantra and Soma Finance will be talking about the technology that powers Web3. Transitioning into NFT space will be covered by someone who is building the Arts DAO, Rahim. We have Cheryl from the Crop Bites talking about crypto, NFTs and the gaming ecosystem. And also Sandeep from Crypto Bytes. We have Kashif, who is a massive influencer on Twitter, on Web3, talking about the fundamentals of Web3. The fundamentals of NFTs are covered by Namit, who's building Asset Money. We have fundamentals of DAOs, which is done by Kash, who's also the founding member of SuperTeam. The fundamentals of DApp to be covered by the Dappless founder, who is Nirbhik. Purvi will be who is from India's Tezos team, will be covering building of decentralized application. Pareen, who's ex-WazirX, also the founder of Builders Tribe, will be teaching you building a DAO first movement. We have JK, who will be covering growth and marketing in Web3 and the state of Web3 regulations by Arti, who is the head of public policy at WazirX. And also we have Shan Puri, who's a massive influencer, who will be teaching us about analyzing and investing in Web3 projects. By the way, this is not it. We have some amazing surprise mentors coming your way as well. And the best part, all of this for free. Guys, if you think that is crazy, that is madness, drop a boom in the comment box. Thank you to all the partners. Thank you to all these amazing people who have come up to come and share their knowledge. So every time you attend a session, make sure you give them a shout out on the internet or Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever that is. Okay, how will this 6-week work? Like I said, there's going to be so many things that are happening, but we want to make sure that you're not spending 5 hours, 6 hours a day onto this. So what are we doing? What we are doing is we're splitting all the sessions. Guys, I'm going to turn off the chat. Thank you so much for the madness, but I'm going to turn off the chat for a while so we can focus. How will the 6-week work, right? Every day there is something that's happening. On Saturday, on Sunday is a little intense because that is when people are free. You'll be learning about subject learning every Saturday. The career workshop is on every Sunday. Wednesdays will be practical implementations and Thursdays are the bonus workshops. That is what's going to happen every Thursday. Now, what about Monday, Tuesday, and Friday? This is when you interact with communities. There's going to be Twitter spaces. There's going to be live sessions on Discord and all that good stuff happening over the course of the week. So every day there's something or the other happening, right? The more time you spend investing into this, the more you will get out of it, right? That is how this is going to work. Don't worry, guys. You'll get a slide of this for everybody to check it out so you guys won't miss out on anything. By the way, all the workshops, 100% of it will be live sessions. So if you guys are part of the top 1,000, that is, you guys are already part of this Zoom call, you guys will get a chance to interact live on the Zoom. That's exactly why we had a top 1,000. So all the people in here, congratulations. And the other perks will follow very soon. And everybody who have registered will be able to access all the content live at the same time, but on YouTube, right? Because obviously, right, Zoom cannot support 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people. So this is exactly why we had the contest, right? So the first top 1,000 people who have the intent to come in will actually be part of the Zoom sessions. All right. Also, very, very, very important, make sure you block your calendars. For people who are on the Zoom session, if you still haven't blocked your calendars, there's a link to it, which Uttam has shared. Make sure you block your calendars. That is link.growthschool.io/Web3 calendar. Make sure you block that. And for people who are on YouTube, you should be able to find it on your YouTube description so that you're not going to miss out on any sessions. Right? Obviously, Growth School, we usually send out WhatsApp messages and all that, but it's almost impossible to do this at this scale, right? So we have to be a little relying on emails and calendars for this to work out. Guys, the most exciting part of the program is the Web3 community. I'm not sure how many people are not still part of the Web3 community, which is on Discord. Make sure you join it. This is where the real fun, real learning and lifelong learning will happen. So I'll strongly recommend you all to make sure you join the Web3 community. The link has been shared on the Zoom chat as well for people who are not part of it. Also, it's been sent on emails to all of you people. Don't miss it. A lot of fun things are happening here. A lot of people are meeting a lot of other people. So make sure you don't skip this. Right? And on top of that, after the main workshops, you can be part of the community. Discuss after every session. There'll be continuing discussions happening on Discord, which you don't want to miss out. Right? And now the good part, we are running a contest. You guys all know that we are running a contest and people win awards worth more than 2 lakh rupees, right? What are you guys winning? Oculus Quest 2, free access to Web3 tools and resources, community plus workshops with leaders, exclusive discount on GrowthSchool crash courses, which are on Web 2, and also the job board and career opportunities, right? Something that we have not shared so far, and I'm going to share right now with all of you people, is that we have a grant of 10 lakh rupees for people who will build a product in Web3 space. A grant of up to 10 lakh rupees, which is powered by Builders Tribe. Guys, drop a boom. If you guys have managed to build a product during the course of this time, there's a very good chance you can get a grant up to 10 lakh rupees. Again, something that we're making sure part of this. So do, not just learn, do as much as you can. Thanks to Builders Tribe to kind of power this. They're literally sponsoring all of it. So there will be sessions on this as well. There'll be live sessions that will be happening on your Discord as well. So you've got to be very active all throughout. All right. Brilliant. Are you guys ready for the exciting part right now? The exciting part is in every session you will attend, in every live session you attend, irrespective you're on Zoom or on YouTube, you get a chance to win up to $50 to $100 worth of crypto or in form of high value NFTs for attending the live session. There's at least 1 to 2 people who will win up to $100 worth of crypto in every session. And all you have to do is once the session is over or during the course of the session, all you have to do is make a LinkedIn post or Twitter thread, write about what you learned, tag the hashtags, and we will announce the winners on the next session. How insane is this? You're being incentivized to attend every session, and there's a chance everybody wins, right? So keep attending, keep doing. That's the way to go. Obviously, not everybody can win. We'll pick 1 or 2 winners per session to win this, right? How many of you are ready to know the winners of the contest? Who is winning the Oculus? Sorry, I've been speaking for so continuously, so I've been. All right. So folks, we basically said the top 3 people will win and also random 3 people will win, right? So top 3 people are probably something that you guys already know, because if you guys are part of the leaderboard, you obviously know who are the top 3. But guys, keep dropping booms for the top 3 guys. Winner number 1 is Ranjit Adlakadi, who got a total of, I can't even count the number of points that is. Oh my God. Okay, that's like a 1 crore, 8 lakh or 10 lakhs. Yeah, it's 10 lakh points. It's 1 million points, right? Ranjit is the top one who also wins Oculus Quest 2 and a bunch of other things. Ranjit, you will be dropped an email, and all the winners will be dropped an email where you have to reply with your address and stuff so that we can ship you the beautiful award. So guys, congrats to Ranjit on the chat. Come on. Number 2 is Akash Chopalla. Akash Chopalla got 42,600. 4,26,812 points, who is in the second spot, who also wins exactly the same things. And Sushant, who got 3.9 lakh points, also wins Oculus Quest 2 and a bunch of other things. Guys, Akash, Ranjit, and Sushant, kudos to all of you people. I will watch you play IB cricket very soon with all of you people, because I play that a lot, right? So congrats. The team will reach out to you people, but we wanted it to be fair for everyone, right? We wanted to make sure that everybody has a shot at winning, not just the top 3 people. So we decided to choose 3 random winners, and the platform that we were using is called as Viper, and Viper automatically has the option. You can see The total number of people who participated in this is 72,988 people. 72,000 people participated in this event. And I'm going to pick 3 random winners who are going to get Oculus Quest through and everything else, irrespective of the number of points. Are you guys ready? Drop a boom, drop a boom, drop a boom, and we will get started. The winner number 1. The winner number 1 is Prakash Gothankar, who has the total points of 1600, 1212, who also wins the first surprise one. Prakash is the first person to win it. The second one, I'm going to wait. It's Sibi Siddharth, who is also the lucky winner. So congrats, Sibi Siddharth. And the third one, very quickly, is Akshay PV. Akshay PV, who also has only 1500 points, wins. So all these 3 people, you guys are the lucky winners. Congratulations. And nothing to do. I just can click a button and you are the 3 people. So you guys know who the 6 people are. And if you guys are on the session or if you're not on the session also, our team will reach out where you can send the address and stuff so that we can send you all the good stuff. Right? Now, the winners of the Hustlers Prize, obviously, you guys are all part of this Zoom session already. So you guys are of the top 1,000, all the people on YouTube. Great job as well. You tried your best. And all the other stuff will be emailed to you in a week's time. So don't fret. If you guys are in top 1,000, you'll get everything in a week's time. And like I said, the assured prize winners, we have already sent you all the details. Check your email before you get expired, before things get expired, right? So guys, are you excited? Are you guys excited for this madness of the Web3 program, which is just getting started right now? Drop a boom, drop a boom, drop a boom. And also, I will definitely recommend you guys to go out there and put it on LinkedIn, put it on Twitter, tell the good world how we are changing the world of Web3 one step at a time. Awesome. I'm going to skip this. This is it from my side, guys. This is it from my side. It's 7:55 p.m. already. I don't know if Akshay is already here. We can quickly transition and get started with the first session. Guys, this is amazing. I love this energy on this chat. I love the energy on the chat. Thank you so much for this madness.
Hello.
Akshay, what's
right.
What's up, Akshay? How is it going?
Very well. Hi, Vaibhav. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. I think it's you can go a little louder. Guys, can you hear Akshay properly? Drop a yes in the chat.
How about now?
Yes, perfect.
All right.
Awesome, man. Akshay, thank you so much for doing this, guys. I don't think Akshay needs an introduction if you guys are getting into Web3, but I'll give you a context to something. Me and Akshay go back for almost 4 years now, Akshay. We first met when we were at Uber, and now he's the Web3 man. So we thought he's the best person to come and help us understand what the hell is Web3 for all the people who still haven't figured it out. So Akshay, over to you. Yeah, let's do this.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. The sad part is I can't see. Oh, well, there we go. I can now see all your wonderful faces. Well, hi and good evening. My name is Akshay BD. I am going to make a short presentation for the folks here. Just before I start the presentation, let me introduce myself, but also there are some ground rules that have been set for me. That I'm not allowed to use any jargon. So if you catch me using jargon that you don't understand, or is that is Web3 native, then you are allowed to interrupt me and let me know so I can replace the words that I may be using to make this easier. So I have a short presentation on what I think are the most important things people should know about. Honestly, it's really hard to articulate what Web3 is or how crypto works in one hour session. And so the goal for the session for me is mostly to encourage folks to just, be curious about what it is and maybe spark some curiosity that will lead you to go back and read more or listen to podcasts or go down the rabbit hole as some of us did when we first learned about this. So that is what I'm hoping to do in the part of in the good part of the next 1 hour. And then of course we'll also do some Q&A. If that sounds good, we can get started. All right, I see a boom, which means I will take that as a yes. All right, my friends, I'm going to share my screen right about now. Are you able to see this? All right, fantastic. Okay, so I call my presentation the Schrodinger's third internet. After the Schrodinger's cat, which is for those of you who did some high school science will know that it's a concept in quantum mechanics where depending on how some subatomic particles behave, if you open up a box, the cat could either be dead or alive. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There we go, superposition. Yes, of course, they're all the smart engineers here and science kids. Fantastic. Okay, so I think the Web3 is kind of like this concept, right? Where it's really unclear what it is. To some people, it means nothing. To other people, it's this thriving ecosystem. And so you'll see like both versions or like of crypto is like this, the next big iteration of the internet. And that crypto means nothing. And when prices are crashing, it's like, oh, Bitcoin's dead again. And there's a meme that every time prices crash, Bitcoin's dead. So you have some people saying, sell now, long live cryptocurrencies. The Bitcoin pyramid scheme continues to collapse. Things like this, like dramatic headlines. And you have other people who are dramatic on the other side of the barbell, right? Which is Bitcoin's going to go $250,000 by 2022. So who are you supposed to believe? In this kind of like cacophony of internet voices that has made it hard for people to sense make. We're going to try to do a little bit of that today. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I am, I'm a lawyer by training, so I'm not technical, which means that I had to learn a lot of these concepts, without the jargon myself or without understanding, in the beginning, at least how how a lot of these protocols work. There you go. I already used one word without, we could use maybe how all of the tech works in sort of protocol. So, but I never practiced law. After law school, I went on to join Uber in the early days as and I worked together at the company. So helped launch Uber's I was part of the team that helped launch Uber's business in India. That's a picture from 2013 September, which was when Uber launched in India in Bangalore, which was the first city. And then I did a bunch of external facing roles, including, working with the government to regularize Uber's business and bring in some regulations around ride sharing. And the peak of that was meeting the Prime Minister back in 2016 December with the then CEO. And that's kind of like was the big moment for Uber and ride sharing in India to get regulated. And there's a reason I'm saying this, which I'll come to because I know a lot of you will have questions around regulations for crypto, and it feels very similar to the early days of ride sharing, where every fourth day things were, a city would announce a ban, and we would have to go and undo it and see if this really had life. And it feels very similar today in crypto. And then I did a bunch of things after, kind of went traveling for a year after spending 5.5 years at the company. I was kind of burned out. And then sometime around the end of 2019, 2020, started working in crypto. Really, I was starting to see some angel deals and get into the mix. Today, I run international expansion at the Solana Foundation. That's one hat I wear, and on the other, like, I co-host a podcast with my partner Tanmay, who is also a comedian and a game streamer, who many of you may be aware of and follow. And so we host a crypto podcast today, and we have done a ton of angel deals together, both in tech and crypto, and we enjoy working with each other. And so that's kind of what I do. I love working with developers, especially in crypto. So what you see there on the right-hand side is a hacker house that we organized at the Solana Foundation in Bangalore. This is the largest hacker house in the world. So it should give you a sense of how much technical talent in India is undertapped, and why, at least I am personally very, very optimistic that the talent in India is going to go build the next version of whatever this internet looks like. With that, let's get to what Web3 is. So, you've seen like this. You've seen kind of like crypto be rebranded into Web3, and if you look at the search interest in Web3, it's gone through the roof. As I'm sure many of you have discovered this in parallel with the prices going up. Typically, prices going up for crypto assets acts as the marketing campaign for the industry, which may not be necessarily a great thing, but such is life, and it's kind of like this weird industry where financial speculation drives the marketing, which drives more developers, which drives more progress in product, which then drives more capital, which drives more financial speculation, and it's kind of like this virtuous cycle. But if you think about what Web3, then the way the folks define that, who came up with Web3, define it is kind of simplistic, like way of understanding it. But if Web 1 was really about reading from the internet, so it was like just HTML pages, and back in the day you'd have things like Blogspot, where you could go and click on web pages and read them. You may not have necessarily the opportunity to interact with those by contributing, but you could read, right? And this was really the early days of the internet. It was, a lot of it was peer-to-peer. And then where, you could host a website and then I could go read it, right? So we are two peers. And it was not mediated by anybody. And then we got Web 2, which is, where you had the ability to write or post a picture, and or write 140 characters, which is now 280 characters on Twitter, or post a picture, or post picture and text on LinkedIn, or share your status on Facebook, things like this. So you had the ability to both read what was being published on the internet and contribute and write, right? And then finally, we now are moving to the next upgrade to, I wouldn't say all of the internet, but certainly like parts where it makes sense for users to also own their content or assets online, right? So you can read, write, and own. What does it mean? Well, you help build, for instance, if you used Facebook or Instagram, you helped with your labor build Facebook or Instagram's network, right? By participating in it, by liking posts, by posting pictures, but you got to see none of the upside, right? You didn't really get Facebook shares, or or Twitter shares, or otherwise benefit from helping the network grow. For the first time, we're able to now create digital assets that help people own the fruits of their own labor. And we'll talk about how. So I want to stop kind of using the word Web3. So I just want to address the frame and then now move to something that's kind of more fundamental without all this jargon. Okay. So there's really three parts to my presentation. What is Web3 without using the word Web3? What is the state of the nation in crypto land today? And then how can you leverage and this new technology and be a part of this? Okay, so let me pause there. Does anybody have any questions that they want to? Do you want to say something? You're welcome to do that in the next 60 seconds. So maybe we can take 2 questions if somebody has any. Okay, wonderful. All right. So I think the way to understand crypto is honestly like the entire world's financial system runs on an Excel spreadsheet, right? You look at your bank account, it's an Excel spreadsheet. It's basically there's your name and there's some number against your name maintained by, let's say, ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank maintains a spreadsheet with your name and how much balance there is in that name. If you think about your stock portfolio, maybe Zerodha maintains a spreadsheet with kind of like the, with how many stocks you have of which company, right? Your Aadhaar number is also it's your name against a number maintained in a government spreadsheet. So it is essentially a database, right? And And so in the world we live today, these databases are controlled by somebody. In your bank's case, it's the bank you bank with. In your stockbroker's case, the stockbroker you have an account with. And so it really, like, Excel spreadsheets and databases are really, really important to the running of the entire financial system, how we coordinate, right? For the first time, we came up with a way to maintain a spreadsheet without a centralized party, which is what really kicked off crypto and Web3, right? And that was what Bitcoin was. So if you think about what Bitcoin is, it's simply like an Excel spreadsheet, right? It kind of brings about the question of what is money. If your entire identity and social life and financial life is your name, and then there's some number against your name in a database is how much money you have, then there's some number in a database, which is how many stocks you have. So your entire net worth is just a bunch of entries in databases in your life, right? And maybe you have the interface to that database on your app, but somebody else controls that, right? For the first time, we came up with a database that was controlled by nobody, but that could be accurately that could be accurately updated, right? And that was Bitcoin. And all Bitcoin is a spreadsheet where you have records of who has how much Bitcoin. And in case the who is really a public address, it's not your name, but it's an address that you have access to, which is a random alphanumeric number. And the protocol allows us, for the first time in human coordination history, to have a database that is controlled by nobody and owned by everybody. How does that happen? Well, let's take the example of your bank. If I were to make a 10 rupee transaction where to send to you, there would have to be somebody at the bank or some technology at the bank that is owned by the bank that debits 10 rupees from my account and credits 10 rupees to your account, right? They have to make sure it goes from my account. So if my balance is 100 and yours is 100, I should have 90 at the end of the transaction and 110, and you should have 110. And that would be a successful transaction and conservation of, it respects the conservation laws, right? But you needed ICICI Bank to do that. One of the things that happened after the great financial crisis is people who own these databases sort of started, meddling with them by doing things like bank bailouts. And, after 2008, where, big banks were bailed out or big companies were bailed out. So how did they meddle with the spreadsheet? They didn't actually deduct numbers from your name, right? Against your name. They didn't deduct the balance against your name, but they added new balance against other people's name, right? Which is what we refer to as, printing money in crude terms, but really if you've while glancing the news, read about quantitative easing or fiscal stimulus, there are different versions of kind of doing this insidious thing where instead of you have just as much money in your account, maybe you had $1,000, you still have $1,000, but somebody else who was maybe financially irresponsible, ran their account to zero, and now they just added a bunch of new digits to that. That's what a bailout is, right? Out of money they printed, which is effectively borrowed or just created out of thin air. And and now we're seeing kind of the downstream consequences of that, of inflation and prices going up, because you just increase the total currency supply in the system. And that's not something that that was kind of like the ideological basis for Bitcoin beginning, which is that there's only ever going to be 21 million coins which are mined in a reliable schedule since Bitcoin started. And we can talk about what mining is in a second, but it suffices to understand that there are only ever going to be 21 million coins. And if I have to own one coin, then I have to either buy it from somebody who already owns it out there in the supply, right? And what that allows for is a world where the supply of this currency is fixed as opposed to inflating. And Bitcoin, and so this technology was in response to a political problem that ensued from the great financial crisis. And this printing of money is not just in the US, it's in countries around the world, as You may have seen in the press recently, Sri Lanka borrowed a bunch of money that is denominated in the US dollars, was unable to pay back a lot of it, and they kind of went they went bankrupt as a nation. And so Bitcoin was an ideological response to this, right? So I'm just going to read some comments real quick, just to make sure I'm not missing anything, or I'm not being boring, or okay, lovely. I should go quicker. Apparently, I will. I'm sorry, folks. This is the first time I'm ever doing the presentation, so I'm kind of learning with you all. So I apologize if I'm being redundant. Doing my best to power through this. Okay. All right. So let's see what. So then we have, so let's perform a live transaction. I think this would be fun, just to do this. It's not on the Bitcoin network because the Bitcoin network is relatively slow for a transaction like this. We want to keep going. Already folks at my throat on this. So we want to keep this quick, right? So let's see, we have set up a, so I'm going to do this transaction on Solana because that's fast and we can move past it. But what I want to show you is how you can, send a transaction without a third party. There is no centralized party, and I'm going to send $1 to my friend who is now going to let me do this. So let's see. Do we have? I think I need to stop sharing screen. Is Ujjwal around? Sorry, is Uttam around? Hello?
Yeah, one sec.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so what I have here is, so I'm going to share my screen, show you what a wallet is. This is what a wallet looks like. It's effectively the bank account on the internet, right? This is just a wallet which has some money on the Solana blockchain. I'm about to transfer $1. And as soon as...
Actually, I'm here.
Yeah. Hi, Uttam. So maybe you can you share screen and show your wallet? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing screen. Okay. So Uttam has a wallet.
Yes.
All right. So Uttam has a wallet, and an account number is what you would give if you wanted a bank account. He's sharing like the wallet address with me. So if you can, Uttam, maybe you can WhatsApp it to me, not put it here. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, can you guys see? I have 5 USDC. I'm about to send 1. Here's their address. Oh, that's not the address. That's just me being stupid. Let's try that again. Whoops, I'm unable to copy this. Hey, can you just send that to me on WhatsApp? I think Zoom chat just doesn't allow me to copy.
Yeah, I've shared on WhatsApp as well.
This is wonderful, right? When folks want me to go fast, I'm going slower. It's almost like... okay, all right. So we're going to send to this address $1. Ready? And I've sent a transaction. There is no, it's sent. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing screen. And Uttam, can you share screen and let me know if you have received the $1 transaction?
Yes,
There we go. It's there, right? And we completed it at 8:17. So that is what looks really simple. I mean, this is like a simple $1 transaction, but this took a massive computing breakthrough for for this to happen, right? For a spreadsheet to get updated. Now, how does this work? I actually would encourage folks to go down the rabbit hole and learn more about decentralization and how that works. I will leave you with this because I want to move on to the next section. If you imagine ICICI Bank as like the central party that would have to make that credit and debit, imagine you took that bank and broke it into 1,000 pieces and distributed them around the world. And those different pieces cannot talk to each other, but a majority of them, as long as they agree on the version of the spreadsheet that's honest, and there's a way for them to do that, then that version of the spreadsheet is seen as authentic. And if they cheat, there are disincentives from them doing so, because they have to spend enormous amounts of energy, which is what you've seen on the internet about how Bitcoin spends a lot of energy. I am not sharing screen anymore. I will go back to sharing screen in just a moment. But there is so I am now, right? So we go back to the spreadsheet. So sorry, to the presentation. And so what happens is these are called miners, who effectively use massive computing power to solve these mathematical problems that take a lot of electricity to solve. And if they update the ledger honestly, they get Bitcoin in reward, which is why they do it. But if they cheat and update the ledger inaccurately, they don't get the Bitcoin reward, right? And so that's what keeps them honest. And I would encourage folks, and it's really hard for me to, this would be a distraction for me to go deeper into this, but I would encourage folks to learn about how Bitcoin mining works and how that helps keep the ledger updated. But I thought the frame of the database as running the world was a useful one because it helps me understand blockchains. Okay, what is Ethereum? I think this is like an analogy attributable to Naval, right? Where he said it's basically spreadsheets with macros, right? And so what's the way to understand that? Let's talk about this idea of the code is law. One way of enforcing how something will happen is law, right? If there is an agreement between two parties, but we have now created a world where code is becoming law. In other words, when you send a Bitcoin transaction and you press the button send, it is executing it and nobody can stop it or censor it. And it's effectively executing it. It's transferring property rights between two individuals, right? And the transfer of property right usually in a pre-Bitcoin world happened in the legal system, because you would sign a contract and property rights would be transferred, let's say, to your home if you're trying to sell one. But now you're able to execute the transfer of property rights through code as opposed to law. And it's very profound because we can talk about what the Ethereum blockchain does, which takes that one step further, where Ethereum just executes if X then Y transactions, right? And what that means is, the Bitcoin blockchain is somewhat static. You can only put in the spreadsheet who has how much Bitcoin, right? And every transaction is transfer of Bitcoin from one wallet address to another. So the spreadsheet is updated with the same type of transactions. The idea behind Ethereum was, hey, why not have just a general purpose spreadsheet where you can make any arbitrary transaction on any arbitrary asset, right? And so you can store a picture of a monkey and you can transfer that. You can store anything of value can be stored on this spreadsheet, not just Bitcoin, right? Compared to you can't store US dollars on the Bitcoin blockchain. It doesn't have that programmability. Ethereum does. And so it took that one step further, allowing you to have a richer spreadsheet experience. Okay. Let's see, I'm just walking through the chats, okay, real quick, because I want to make sure I answer any genuine questions. Okay, so I think one of the questions, this is an interesting one, which is, hey, how do you weigh Bitcoin for payments if we have UPI already? My sense is Bitcoin is probably not a great tool for payments. Each block takes 10 minutes to update. And so you may send transactions and it may take a few minutes for it to happen, whereas UPI is instantaneous. What you get with Bitcoin is, the big utility of Bitcoin is to hold the is to hold these tokens. So in some ways, the best way to think about this is in like gold, like digital gold. What's the purpose of gold? Well, it's to hold it, right? It's a storehold of wealth. And so Bitcoin is like roughly compared to digital gold as being digital gold often, right? Which is, it's good for all the things gold is good for, but it's bad for all the things gold is bad for. And gold is not a great transactional currency, right? But it is a good asset. Now there are layer 2s and things like this being built on it. Whether it's you can send Bitcoin if you're on an exchange. For instance, if you're on Coinbase, you can send Bitcoin instantaneously between 2 accounts and things like this. But it suffices to understand that like the blockchain itself is not meant for it to be like Visa, right? Like Visa is good enough for Visa. So that's kind of like where a lot of people trip up. And I would encourage you to kind of like think a little bit deeper outside of just transactions, because we are used to transactions and paying for our coffee, right, with currency. So so I would encourage folks to kind of like think about settlement more than transactions, right? When I send Bitcoin to somebody else, you have instant settlement as opposed to just transactions, and settlement is very valuable, right? It's like, imagine like the Fed wire in the US, where banks send money between each other, and the Fed wire system settles those transactions, right? It's the interbank settlement layer, which you don't get access to, you don't see, but banks use it for settling large amounts of capital. So Bitcoin's very good to settle like $1 billion in value, but it's very bad to send a $10 transaction. All right. I'm going to keep moving, folks. So if X, then Y, what does this mean? Well, take an example of borrow lending, right? On the Ethereum blockchain. You can what you can do is deposit some ETH you own, right? ETH is the native currency of the Ethereum blockchain. You can deposit some of that and borrow a different asset against it in a borrow lending market, right? So one could deposit Ethereum ETH tokens, maybe because you don't want to sell them, and borrow US dollars against it. DAI is the one you see on screen is like the decentralized stable coin. You can't have actual US dollars on the blockchain. You have tokens that represent $1 US, and there are many institutions and organizations that issue these tokens, where one USD, and one of them is Circle. This is the most regulated one, the most trusted one. The private entities that also issue these tokens, they're less trusted, but used pretty widely. Like Tether is one that you may have heard of, but they issue these tokens on the blockchain, and those tokens are backed by $1 US in a bank account somewhere, or a short-dated treasury, right? It's a dollar equivalents, and they're regulated. And so if I wanted to borrow them, I could by depositing ETH as collateral. There's no bank here. Remember, it's just code, right? So I'm depositing it into what is called a smart contract, which is basically a code a piece of code that holds that Ethereum and releases the USDC. Now, if the value of the collateral falls below a certain price, let's say today, Ethereum, the value of ETH is $3,000. And as we have seen in the last 8 months, if the value, falls to $1,000, then there is a price at which it gets liquidated, right? Because in a bank, they can call you up and say, please deposit more collateral, because the cost of your house has gone down by half. And so the loan we have given you against your house can only sustain if you add additional collateral, right? Maybe you go deposit some gold bars or gold coins in a world like that. Whereas here, there's nobody to make that call. So what happens is it programmatically sells the ETH if it falls below a certain price, right? So it executes the if X then Y style transactions on its own. And this is just one of the use cases, right? That Ethereum has. And this is just one of the use cases, right? That Ethereum has, but you can kind of explore more from reading about ETH and Ethereum and decentralized finance which is in short called DeFi, which you may have heard of. But it's effectively doing everything you can in the current financial system, but doing it on the internet without a centralized party. So it's a very exciting area of development. So for folks who are inclined, who are quantitatively inclined, this could be interesting, right? So let's go to the next one. Why do we think rule of law is valuable, right? Because we just replaced like law with code, but why is this? Why do these tokens have value? Like, why does Ethereum have value or Bitcoin has value? Well, it turns out most of the property, like this is a like a graph from, or the pie chart from a book called Your Next Government, and what it tells you basically is that 50% of the value of any property comes from how securely it is able to how securely it is able to custody those property rights, right? Or protect these property rights. So let me give you an example. Like in the US, if there's a factory in the US, the rule of law is very high in the US, and you can trust that the rule of law will be there to protect your interests in the factory. So if you bought shares in a factory, or in an American company, that there is rule of law that will protect your rights to that company, right? Because if your broker takes away your shares, you can file a suit in a court, and an American court will uphold property laws. That. Whereas if this happened in, say, Zimbabwe, where they were dealing with hyperinflation, there is no rule of law at the time, right? Your property can be arbitrarily seized, and that could be a problem. And so the value of this, the property, the same factory, if it was in Zimbabwe during a time of hyperinflation, would be much lower priced, because you can buy it, but you don't know if the rule of law would protect your right to the property, right? So the reason Bitcoin and Ethereum have value is because when you have Bitcoin in an address, nobody can take it from you, right? The code secures the blockchain. It creates rule of law on the internet. And that's why these things are valuable. So imagine a rule of law that's as powerful as American courts, or backed by code instead of like the US military, right? No amount of violence can solve a math problem. You're not going to be able to, take this Bitcoin from an address with infinite amount of violence, because it's encrypted, and there's only one person or one entity that will have access to it, is those who have the private keys to access that Bitcoin. So it's there in the spreadsheet. You can see it. I can see it. But to unlock it, you need a private key, which is only available with the owner of that address. So that's why rule of law is important. And so the best way to think about Bitcoin and Ethereum are their digital nations that uphold the rule of law for digital assets. That's really all they are. They are, so you can either think of them as Excel spreadsheets that are protected by computing networks around the world, and they help you, establish rule of law on the internet for the first time. And this is a picture from the artwork from Bankless, so credit to them. And so you just created an internet country where you created assets that you can own in that internet country, and they will be protected just as much as if you owned assets in like a country with a very high rule of law. Let me pause there real quick and see if I'm getting any brickbats or questions that I should be answering. This is kind of boring. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. This is the first time I'm doing this presentation. So I'm doing, I'm covering what I think would be most interesting. So even if you take away like a few sentences or a few concepts that kind of spark your enthusiasm or curiosity, I would consider that like success, right? Hopefully. All right. Okay, we can take Q&A in the end. Okay, wonderful. I think. Can you watch interview of NFT Bay founder CoffeeZilla? Yeah. Look, there's just a lot of scams, and if anybody can issue a token, like think about what you can do today in this internet country, right? In these internet countries, like let's talk about Ethereum specifically, and I would come to Solana as well. But blockchains like Ethereum and Solana, you can create an asset and have it be protected in this digital country. That's pretty cool, right? Like somebody in their dorm room can create an asset and have it be protected by the courts of this internet country, except it's not the court of the internet country, it's the code of the internet country. And that's pretty powerful, because what it means is any arbitrary value can be now represented in this internet country, right? And anything of value that requires property rights to be protected can now be on this. Today, it's just native assets. When I say native, it means they are just assets that were born, that were birthed in the, what people now call the metaverse or the internet. The Ethereum is an asset that was born on the internet, right? It's not something. There's no ETH in the offline world. So they're digitally native assets. But you can imagine a world tomorrow where any asset that's even in the physical world can be represented and protected, can be represented in this digital country and be protected by the code of that digital country, right? And so that's very powerful, because then you can prove ownership like think about how much dispute happens in our country's court systems. I'm a lawyer by training, and the courts are flooded with litigation because nobody is able, because a lot of the property disputes, for instance, happen because it's, there is no evidence to prove who owns the property. That goes on for years and years on what papers are valid, who owns them, things like this. But there has never been a dispute in a court of law of who owns how much Bitcoin, right? We've driven the number of instances of conflict to zero. That is pretty profound, right? Because if an address has Bitcoin, then it is the owner, right? It's presumed to be the owner, and nobody else can access it. So that's powerful. That property rights without disputes, without the cost of disputes, right? All right. So with that said, I think the most interesting piece for us to move to is all the apps that are built on it, right? So one, we just discussed the borrow lending app, where it's the bank on this internet country, right? So if you imagine the internet country, you can imagine all the types of businesses you can build in that internet country. One's a bank, which allows you to borrow against it. One is maybe a gaming company, a gaming business, right? Where, certain assets within the game are issued and protected by this internet country, right? Then there are exchanges. So, today you maybe go on to a centralized exchange like WazirX or CoinDCX. You go in there with a chunk of INR, Indian rupees, and you convert that into Bitcoin on some, exchange price that the exchange gives you. Guess what? This internet country has a decentralized exchange that nobody controls. It's just it's just a protocol that operates, which allows you to go exchange your USDC for Ethereum, as an example. And that's what protocols like Uniswap do, right? So that's what I would encourage folks to check out, right? Go down the rabbit hole of trying these apps, using them. I think they're very they're cutting edge breakthroughs in what you can now do. They're very early, but the best way to understand Web3 is to just use this, right? MetaMask is obviously the wallet on Ethereum, So, all right. There's a small problem on Ethereum though. The cost to transact on Ethereum is very high. As you can see on the right side, when the network gets congested, the fees have gone up to like $900 to make one transaction. So it doesn't make sense to send $10 for $900, right? I want to avoid all the jargon here. These are called gas fees. Understand them as transaction fees. I'll explain to you how I understand them. When in the early days, when we launched Uber in a city, there would be like, say, 50, 60 cars in the city operating to take people around. What would happen is during busy hours, like say Friday nights, people are getting out of restaurants and bars, they want to go back home. And we don't have any, there's not as many cars as you need to service that demand, right? So what would happen is the prices would go up in the city. And this is what we called surge pricing, right? But it would go up in the entire city. So if you're, let's say in Bangalore and you're in Indiranagar and you're trying to get out of a restaurant to book a car, and there's not enough cars there, prices would go up in all of Bangalore city. So more drivers would come out to service that demand. And so when more supply comes out to meet the demand, prices would go back down again, right? And so the idea of getting prices up for a temporary period was to bring out more supply and discourage demand to stay back, right? So if some people are okay waiting for like 15-20 minutes to get their cab ride, they would just stop requesting. So that would be a big deal. So that's what happens on Ethereum. So when a bunch of people want to transact, the cost of transacting on the entire network goes up, right? And then you now have to even if you're sending $10, you still have to pay whatever the prevalent transaction fee is, right? Until it comes back down. So there are of course scaling solutions to this, where people are building another Excel spreadsheet or database on top of Ethereum, doing a bunch of transactions there and settling to the Ethereum chain every once in a while, roughly put. There are different types of solutions. You should kind of read more about Ethereum and how it's scaling. But one of the biggest problems today is that the spreadsheet is slow and it's expensive to use, but it's final, right? So that's what you pay for. But there are newer age blockchains. I work on Solana in the Solana ecosystem. I'm very excited about what it can do for folks. Imagine a world where you can have, very low transaction fees, very high speed, as you saw on the Phantom wallet. I would encourage folks to download the Phantom wallet and test it for yourself in your browser. That wallet allows you to hold and custody all the assets. When you install the wallet, it'll walk you through all the stuff we talked about, right? You'll have a public address, you'll have a private key that you have to safely custody, and you can sign transactions and send your friends, maybe one USDC or send them an NFT. But what it really does is, if you can have a low fee environment, you can now build apps. You can build all the apps that you wanted to build, right? It's just like you have the centralized app store, you can have a decentralized app store. And that's what folks here. And now hopefully it starts getting interesting, because now I've gone past all the concepts and I want to get to how you can leverage this ecosystem, get a job, maybe build an app if you're a developer. And this kind of addresses your burning questions more directly going forward. But the technology is now in a place, it's at a place in time when the underlying infrastructure, the spreadsheet, right, and the database is really robust. And now all we're waiting for is people to come and build the dApps. When the App Store was created, there were hardly any apps, right? And a bunch of developers went and built apps. And now you have a very rich app store, app ecosystem. That's exactly what's happening here. It's just decentralized. So I would encourage folks to check out some of the applications on the Solana ecosystem. They allow you to do things that like payments and options and things that would be really expensive on Ethereum can now be executed well on Solana. And so they're both. I believe in a multi-chain world. I think different chains are useful for different things, and I think they will all survive the test of time. But you will see that there are applications like gaming and stuff are really proliferating on Solana. So I would encourage folks to go check that out, right? So let's do 3 quick use cases and then get to how to build a career in Web3, okay? Before that, is there anything else that I should be... Okay, all right. 3 quick use cases, because folks ask, what is the use case? We actually tested one, right? Imagine global payments on permissionless payment rails. If I sent a transaction right now to the US and I sent some US dollars, it would only go through on Monday morning, East Coast time, which is in 48 hours from now, right? Because my bank would may be able to send the transaction over weekend, but the Swift network and the receiving bank has to accept it and do the credit and debit, and that's only done during weekdays. So it may show up on Monday morning, but just now we sent $1 across instantaneously. So that's one, right? Anybody who sends money home, I used to work a job and send money home. It would have been great to have this at the time. Of course, unfortunately, right now it's hard to convert crypto to Indian rupees in India, I think, because there are taxes that are onerous, but hopefully that gets resolved over time. but that's one clear use case. The second is crowdfunding. So if you folks follow or on Twitter, you may have followed this, but for those who weren't, they tried to buy a physical copy of the Constitution of the United States. A bunch of people came together on the internet and said, hey, let's pool in money to buy a physical copy of the Constitution of the United States in an auction. Now, they didn't succeed in doing this because they got outbid by a billionaire. Okay, but it's pretty cool that all of us today can, put some money in, pool some money in, and go, buy something, or we can crowdfund for a cause. Can you do that in fiat? You can. It's just much harder because, we all may be living in different countries. They all have different banking regulations. Here, I can just send you an address and you can instantaneously transfer money into that. And then now we have a crowd fund, right? So they raised $42 million and returned all the money and onboarded millions of crypto users, right? As part of this experiment. It's pretty cool, I thought. Finally, let's talk about NFTs. NFTs are okay. So the way I understand NFTs is, of course, that right now NFTs are non-fungible tokens. Fungible tokens are where if they're 21 billion Bitcoin, they're all the same, so they're fungible between each other. If they're non-fungible, it means a picture of monkey is different from a picture of a cow, right? So those two are different tokens. Okay, so why is it NFTs interesting? It's because it gives you property rights and copyrights eventually. I think we haven't gotten there, but eventually, if you can prove that you own or you created the NFT, the artwork, you can make it so that you can get royalties on it if they're sold further down the line, even if you have nothing to do with the sale. You originated the token, you put it on the blockchain, and you put a contract that says, every time this is sold, I should get a 10% royalty as an artist. Now you can do that, right? And you're just one artist, you don't have an office, you don't have lawyers, you have nothing, but you can still do that on OpenSea today. That's pretty cool, right? Because the court of the internet is protecting your property rights and your right to royalty, right? And over time, I believe what is going to happen is on your phone, if you want to display an NFT, you cannot display it unless you own it. You can prove that you own it in your address. So imagine an internet where like the ownership of these digital the copyright over certain types of artwork are protected. Today, they're not. I can just copy paste it and put it, I can copy a picture and use it, right? Because there's no copyright law. It's too cumbersome to issue a copyright notice to me and I'll take it down, right? But look at Instagram as a glimpse of what is the future, where you can display an NFT only if you own it, right? As your profile picture. Same for Twitter as well, right? You have to be able to sign a transaction to show that you own this. So I think that's where it's going, digital assets. And with that, my friends, we come to how do you, what do you do, right, in Web3? Okay, look, I think you could be in a previous world, you could be a founder or an investor or have a job, right? And I think these were like three tight categories. And I describe job using the broiler chicken analogy because jobs are the same more or less around the world. If you go for work for a company, you're working 5 days a week, you typically have a title, you have a manager, you're working within the structure, right? They all look the same. Jobs look the same, right? I believe we are progressing into a world where it's free range chickens, right? Where different people, like in Web3, you can be an investor one day and you can be an employee another day, and maybe you're part of a founding team of protocol another day. This kind of allows you a lot of flexibility and room to do this. For instance, I participate in a community called SuperTeam, where one day we have like a 16-year-old developer who won a bug bounty of $25,000 by just looking around for bugs on one of the websites, right? So then that day he was a security researcher or a freelancer. The next day he is now working on a decentralized publishing stack as an employee, as a lead developer, right? And tomorrow if he gathers enough capital and reputation, he can start angel investing, right? So this is very fluid And that, I think, is part of the big freedom and reason to work in crypto, because you can be all three at the same time. You can be a founder, you can be a investor and an employee at the same time. And I think that's makes for a very creative and fulfilling life. All right. Let's see. So I think crypto is really from going from Steve Jobs to better jobs. It's really not about the founder lore. The founder is less important. In fact, Satoshi, nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, is. It's he, she, they. Maybe are there a group? Nobody knows whether they're alive or dead. It doesn't matter. It's less about the founder and more about the community that gets built around the project. And ironically, the communities that do survive the test of time are those where the founders don't make it about themselves, right? And so that's kind of the cool part. This is a graph of the community earnings at SuperTeam, where people have made, in the last 6 months, about $500,000. I think I would say it's last 9 months now, $500,000 together as a community by participating in bounties, which are, like a weekend's worth of work, or, a freelance project, which are maybe 3 months worth of work, or some of them even do full-time jobs. So there's a rich array of things you could do. You could work for a weekend. You could work for 3 months on a project basis, or you could work on a full-time job. And crypto allows you to do that remotely. What for me is most exciting for folks who are looking to move from Web 2 to Web 3 is the following. In a previous world, you had to go to a good university, get a good job, maybe gather up some experience under your belt in the job. And a lot of career progression meant going and working at the headquarters of the company that you typically work for. A lot of these tended to be American companies. So you went to the US, you had to get an H-1B visa. So there's some bureaucrat deciding whether you deserve to get the H-1B visa or not. So even if you're really good at your job, your visa may be rejected, so you stay back. But a big way for people to go gather wealth or, just acquire positions of power was to go to the US, right? Now, you can earn in US dollars sitting at your home, right? Crypto is the new H-1B visa. And that's very powerful because there's no bureaucrat who decides whether you get this or not. All the folks who are working on these protocols that are being developed in Switzerland, in the US, in parts of India as well, are all paying in US dollars and are paying very globally competitive salaries. A lot of them also get compensated in the native token of these projects. So, one example I was talking to the wonderful folks at Polygon is, and we really like them, because they came up the hard way through the bear market in the cycle, and they didn't even have money to pay their office rent at one point, and they paid their landlord in Matic tokens when the token price was 100th of what it is today. Right. I believe the landlord did hold on to the tokens. So good on them. But that is the kind of opportunity that was previously available largely in markets that had in like the US, which has deep capital markets, right? So I remember reading one story and being like, wow, I can't believe this is true, where somebody there was like a painter who painted the wall in the Facebook office, and Facebook at the time didn't have money to pay this artist. So they just gave him Facebook stock. And I think that ended up being worth $100 million, right? Similarly for Google, I don't know if you may have read about this, is a more famous story. There's a chef who got compensated in Google stock in the early days of Google, because Google had catering, right? And of course, now that those are all worth several $1 million. But I think what's interesting is labor can now get compensated with capital, right? You watch all these you watch all these investment videos and things like this, where it's like, hey, gather assets. Well, what if you can earn in assets? And that's what really crypto allows you to do. It turns any asset into a token, which makes it easy to give out, and hopefully creates a world where people who are putting in the work to develop a network are able to leverage, the work they have put in exchange for capital assets, which, if it does well, will go up over time. With that, I think we've come to the end of this, folks. You can follow me on Twitter or DM me if you want to reach out personally. Hopefully this was useful. It's the first time I'm doing this. It's the first time you're hearing it. So it was learning experience for me as well. I'm more than happy to receive feedback privately on my Twitter DM. I will try and respond to each one. If there's something I missed, I have left some resources for folks. I would encourage you to check out. I co-host a podcast. We put in a lot of work to research and bring in good guests. So I would encourage folks to check it out. One of my favorite resources so that's video and audio. One of my favorite resources is Darren Lau's Notion. Maybe we can share the link on the chat here. I have linked to this in the presentation. Maybe I'll drop the chat here in just a second. I'll drop it in the chat in just a second. It's extremely comprehensive, and it's the resource I send to all my friends or colleagues who are keen to learn more about Web3. It has a repository of all the basics on crypto. I also like the A16Z crypto startup school. I have no idea why the A is missing in A16Z. It's 10:30. It's now 11:30 here where I am. So it might have just been me. And finally, if you're looking to get a job, we also have a talent network at SuperTeam, which somebody much better than me runs. His name is Cash. He's going to come and present to you and talk about DAOs and things like this. So you're welcome to go join that. And, depending on the type of person you are, whether you're technical, non-technical, and the types of projects and the projects that are hiring, we typically vet the projects that we work with because we want to avoid like scammy NFT projects or like things that we don't think are going to succeed. But we vet both talent and projects, and we help folks get a job in crypto. So you're welcome to join that. This is all I had. I'm happy to take questions, and hopefully that'll be valuable. In the meanwhile, yes, I will drop the Notion link. Yes.
Awesome. So I'll take a few minutes, Akshay. You have been speaking for a while, so I'll give you a break. So thank you so much, Akshay, for doing this. Like, that was insanely valuable, and you kept it actually jargon-free and very simple. So that was really valuable. Hope you guys got a ton of value. If you can drop your feedback in the chat, that would be great. But let me do it in another way. Let me just turn off the chat. Everyone is saying appreciating you, Akshay, so that's great. You killed it. Let me just turn off the chat for a while, guys. I'm dropping a link. If you can give your feedback there, it will help us to improve things for you session by session. There are going to be 23 more sessions, right, to teach you everything about Web3. This session was meant to make you curious about this space so that you can start digging deeper, right? So that was the agenda. Akshay has also shared the link of the resource, right? So give us the feedback, and also here's the challenge. We've talked about the challenge that we are going to have every session, right? So the challenge is put down your learnings of this session, from this session, go out there and do research beyond what was taught, and look down on case studies and everything, and put it in a Twitter thread or a LinkedIn post. Use the hashtag GSWeb3, hashtag GrowthSchool. And in the next session, we are going to announce the winner of that challenge, right? This is going to happen in every challenge. So that is something cool. We wanted to appreciate you for putting efforts, for learning more. So that is something. Now we are going to move ahead to the Q&A. There were a lot of questions you were dropping in the chat, but while delivering the session, it was becoming difficult to answer them. Now we are going to take questions, right? So there, I'll just open, let me just share the link where you can put questions.
Actually, you're on mute.
Oh, I see. I just went to the chat. Everyone's like, thanks for all the kind comments. Appreciate it. I'm happy to take any questions if that's what we're doing now.
Folks, you can go on this Slido link and put your questions so that the chat is not distracting, and you can access the community link, feedback link, resources link. So you can put your questions there. Meanwhile, I'll try to pick some questions from the chat previously, what you had put. So someone asked Akshay that is Polygon gas free? Can you explain more about Polygon?
Yeah, sure. So Polygon is uh, hmm, how do I? So it's called a side chain. I'm trying to find a replacement for this. It's another. It's kind of like a. Um, so as you can imagine, all these blockchains are spreadsheets, and they all work differently, right? For some spreadsheets, they're slow and they're very expensive because if you're transferring $1 billion, you want to triple check, quadruple check, 10x check. But for some, the spreadsheets may not be as you just want high transaction speed. It's just a different type of spreadsheet, right? So Polygon allows you to build what is called a layer 2. It is technically a side chain, or it's called a side chain, which is a separate spreadsheet, but it settles to Ethereum. So it's a cousin of Ethereum. What it allows you to do is take your assets from Ethereum, where it may cost a lot to transact, and take it to Polygon, transact with under very low cost there, and then bring it back on Ethereum if you wanted it to, right? So you can think of it as your Paytm wallet versus your bank account. So you may hold 200 rupees in your Paytm wallet because you want to send small transactions, but you're not going to hold your entire net worth in your Paytm wallet. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah, actually, a lot of questions have come on that link.
Is there a way I can see the questions?
Yes. You go to that link, you can directly check that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. You can now pick and choose the questions. There are a lot of questions.
All right, let's see. I'm okay. Okay, I'm going to try and take. So I'm going to bias myself to pick questions about career. If there are conceptual questions, I will come to them if there's enough time. But hope folks understand that I have to make a trade-off. So I'm just letting you know that's what I will be doing. So in fairness, I want to be transparent. How can a legal consultant earn from Web3 in the future? I think that there's a massive opportunity for anybody who brands themselves as a crypto lawyer, because today, everything from the beginning of the project till the end of the project is broken from a regulatory and legal perspective. In terms of incorporation, where do you incorporate? Well, do you do it in India? Well, you can't do it in India a lot of the times. Most of them do it in, let's say, the Cayman Islands or the British Virgin Islands, or maybe somewhere else. There's a foundation set up that issues the token. Then you have an operating entity in Singapore. So now you've got to learn Singapore law to have incorporation there. And then you have an Indian operating entity that's related to Singapore operating entity. So this is a massively complex structure. Then it comes to raising funds. So now you have to create investor agreements, there's no standard agreement, right? It's not like AngelList where you can just go and issue a term sheet or a safe note. These practices don't exist. These best practices don't exist yet. There's some versions, but it's definitely not there all the way. Then it's like, okay, what are the regulatory issues of issuing token? Should I be blocking users of some countries from using my application because it violates some international regulations? Or what is the KYC AML process I have to follow? It's just a lot of stuff that goes into this, and we don't have enough the lawyers who understand crypto. So if you are a lawyer and you choose to dedicate more of your time and resources to helping crypto projects, I can assure you that you're not going to have a hard time finding clients. You're going to have a hard time figuring out how to create 50 hours out of a 24-hour day. How do I start my journey as a UX UI designer? Okay, this is also a great question. Today, the applications that I have asked you to use, I'm almost embarrassed to point other people to it because the UX in crypto is just really bad. We require really talented UX folks to come and make this better, right? Please, like we cannot have a world where the user experience is not as seamless as it is on the apps that we use on our phones. It's just like we're not going to get to 1 billion users. I think today there are less than, maybe I think not less than, I think there are about 10 to 12 million on-chain users, which means people who are transacting on the blockchain directly. Now, there are many multiple millions more who have purchased crypto, but they're not users, right? Because they've logged into an exchange, like a centralized exchange, and just bought crypto, but they didn't do what we did earlier, which is use an on-chain, like a wallet that's directly and transferred assets on a blockchain, right? So we want to take that number from 10 million to 1 billion users, right? So that's obviously dependent on making these apps usable, which they are certainly not today. They're getting much better, but you have a bright future if you're interested. By the way, we also have, excuse me, we also have a job board at SuperTeam, but there are tons of crypto job boards. So I would encourage folks to go just check out the job boards there are. Maybe I'll drop the link to one. Let me not do it for you. You know where to find the SuperTeam job board, but here, let me drop one other third. I'm not affiliated with this, but this is like a crypto Twitter account that has a job board. So you can go check it out. They update it regularly. It's one of the largest. It's one of my favorites. We really look up to them. So you should check that out. And we at SuperTeam, we are more curated. Okay. Wow. There's nice. Okay, all right. Non-technical jobs in Web3. Let's do that. Okay. Until recently, like the jobs in crypto were mostly for developers, because these are all protocols and you had to know command line to work with them. But now because we're starting to build these applications where you want to get users. So I want to encourage folks to check out one of the largest apps out there. For instance, right? This is as close to, like, I think mainstream adoption as we have gotten. It's called StepN. I think it's a company that, it's an app on the Solana blockchain. It's a company, I think that Sequoia invested in it. I do not advise you to go buy the tokens or trade them or buy any assets, but they have a mobile app and it's a game where that's the website where you can download the game, you can buy an NFT shoe, and you can start walking every day to earn walking rewards. It's walk to earn. Is this sustainable? I have no idea. But is the UX really good, and it allows for us to onboard people without making it intimidating? Yes. So that's a good example. So I would check that out and to get a sense for what type of jobs are available for non-technical people, because whether it's UI UX design, you see the design and you see that somebody really good has designed it, or it's marketing, right? Finding new people who'll join the app, or who'll sign up, or it's a Discord community managers. One of the key insights that we had was in 2008. Or around 2008, 2009, when social media came out, how did companies react to it? They said, oh, let's just hire a young person and call them the social media manager, and they'll take care of all social media, whether it was Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, whatever it was. And then we continued doing traditional media, right? The communications and marketing team kept putting up billboards and running expensive TV ads, except that was a really bad strategy, because those who decided to go all in on social media and said, oh my God, this changes everything, right? Ended up winning big, right? All these Shopify stores, direct-to-consumer stores that were built, Warby Parker, folks like this who went all in on social media won. And so it turns out the social media manager was the marketing manager, right? And that was confirmed when a presidential candidate in the United States won the presidential election using Twitter, right? So now the same thing, we're repeating the same mistake, right? Where it's just like, oh, it's just a Discord manager. Please don't call yourselves that. I know somebody did earlier. So my advice is don't call yourself that. You're a much more integral part. You're a community manager. And it's not just a job that somebody gets, right? Like, we've got to learn about how to manage a community. So let's just hire a community manager and they'll take care of it. No, it's a founder's job. Just like social media was a founder's job, right? This is a founder's job of running a community. And if you have the skill sets and you enjoy talking to people and you're kind and you're helpful and you like to give before you take, and you're generally like enthusiastic and people like working with you, and you're kind of like, you're not a troll online, and you want to like help moderate the discussion to a positive some outcome. Those are all very, very powerful characteristics that you can monetize in this new world. So community is at the center of crypto. So that is a big, so I think marketing managers in Web 2 are replaced by community managers in Web 3, right? Roughly put. So that's another big opportunity, in my opinion. So you know how many marketing managers and marketing professionals there are in the world today. So imagine that many community professionals, right? It's a big deal. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that answered your question. How can I, am I looking at popular or recent? All right, let's see.
Actually, a couple
How
of
do I know about taxation? Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, I was saying that a person has start few questions around career. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to
Sure.
tell that to you. People have asked that what are the opportunities for bloggers, content creators, and marketers in Web3 and also CA.
Yeah. Yeah. So think about how much of a bad job I did today in my presentation. When I was saying words that you didn't understand, we need people to explain this better. I'm not I'm not a native content creator. I started this like a year and a half ago, but we need people who know how to create content, who know how to take a complex idea, break it down, and explain it to an audience. Because a lot of the user acquisition is user education, right, today. And so, well, I wish it was not. I wish we could just show somebody a product and say, hey, download it and use it and you'll see what happens. I think we'll get there. We'll probably get there by next cycle. But there's absolutely an opportunity for writers to take advantage of this. For those of you who may have heard of Packy McCormick, right? And if you have not, I would strongly encourage you to do it. Let me share a link of his Twitter, and here you go. He runs a newsletter called Not Boring. It's a good name, right? Where he writes long form articles explaining previously Web2 companies, but now more recently, mostly Web3 projects. He literally just takes a project, writes a deep dive essay about it, and helps people understand how to think about it, right? And that allowed him to bootstrap a venture fund off of the back of that. Right? So think about the leverage writing gives you. So if you're a good writer, a good content creator, a good blogger, my advice would be to create for a few rather than for everyone, right? You can't be everything to everyone because you ideally want to create for a small community of people that are loyal fans of yours or that are active learners. Like on this call, I can tell you, like, I think we've had people, I think there are 500 people, 570 people join, and now we're at 382, right? And I bet the real impact of this may have only been on 30 people, right? Like where they maybe took away something, maybe they clicked on a link I sent, and maybe that was helpful to them. And maybe only 10 of them survive until the next cycle in crypto, right? Maybe if some people get interested and then it just becomes uninteresting after. So you want to create content for those 10 people and forget about everybody else, right? And that, I think, is the highest leverage opportunity. The big thing I'm seeing is like there are a lot of YouTube channels that are like, hey, we'll explain the basics to you in like a really simple way. We will, in a way that, a 10-year-old kid will understand and a 70-year-old grandmother will understand. And I think that there's a lot of that. And you have the opportunity to go one step further and be like, I want to talk to only people in Web 2 who are looking to move to Web 3 and create a community for them and create content for them. And I think that would be a rewarding thing. So you would not track views as much as you would track like the community you build around it. Are we looking? Okay, let's see. Taxation. Okay, a lot of folks want to know about tax. So I'm not, unfortunately, a tax advisor, so none of this counts as tax or legal advice. You should consult a tax advisor. The thing I would say is a lot of the tax rules are applicable, or there's somewhat not very favorable if you're trading actively. But if you're earning in crypto, yes, is there a flat 30% tax? There is, but crypto salaries and token compensation are generally very competitive in global labor markets. And so they tend to be higher than a Web2 job. Okay. So it sort of makes up for that. Now we're entering a bear market, or we've been in one for a while. So maybe that changes. It in all likelihood will change. But hey, if you do believe in the project, a lot of the startups compensate in startup equity, right? So a lot of the crypto projects compensate in tokens. And if the project ends up doing well, the price of the token goes up. That compensates for your time, and you get a piece of the upside of the project, assuming it succeeds, much like startup ESOPs. So I think that is the opportunity for people to take advantage of. And then you work with your tax advisor to do this in a way that you don't get hit on taxes. that are prohibitive, right? Especially if you're running, let's say, a freelancer business, maybe there are costs of running that business that you can offset. There are ways that a CA can advise you to take advantage of that. I think we have answered most of this. Let's see. I'm just going through the list.
So one question is very simple here, but I think it will help a lot of people. Akshay, is all this stuff, Ashish asked this question, that all this stuff on Web3 can be overwhelming for non-techies. Tell us about your journey. How did you transition and learn? And how can non-techies make the most of this opportunity apart from enrolling in GrowthSchool program?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is for the way I learned is, look, I just have analogs, right? The things I understand, and I try and work my way from things I understand to the thing I'm supposed to understand. So like this idea of understanding something as a spreadsheet was very helpful to me. It's like, what is a blockchain? It's really just a spreadsheet that protects property rights. Oh, okay. Every wallet address is a row in that spreadsheet, and every column holds certain types of assets. All right, I understand that, right? It's somewhat simplistic. There are things that I'm obviously missing, but it more or less, at least I'm not, what is a blockchain? It's not a thing. I can't point to something and say it's a blockchain. It's a meaningless word if you're not a developer, right? So I would say have like mental models that are somewhat eccentric, and who cares? Like, as long as you understand it, like, people may may not find it useful, or they may make fun of it or whatever. As long as there's a way for you to understand it, that's valuable, right? So try and just articulate these things in the simplest words without jargon. That's one. The second thing I think is just to use them, right? So, and to get to that, I had to just listen to hours and hours of podcasts and, watch videos and explainer videos. For instance, I would, here's a YouTube channel. I would encourage, I like keeping things as specific as possible, and I don't want to give general gyan. So I also want to keep dropping resources here. So check out this channel. It's one of my the channels that helped me understand a lot of the concepts. You may have to listen to a video twice, but you kind of start to get it once you listen to this video, right? It's really, really talented guy who explains what a decentralized exchange is, what an automated market maker is, and what I just in very simple words. So I would say spend a lot of time learning. It's a 6 to 8 month learning curve that you just cannot get around. There's no way to shortcut it. At least it's just hard. But it's worth it, because once you get it, you'll be one of the only few who get it. And then you have a moat around your career, right? The second is just learn by doing, right? Just go and use all these apps, send transactions, maybe take a piece of the budget that you would have paid GrowthSchool to do this course. It's free. So, put a price in it, say, oh, this course to me was worth 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Cool. Turn that into ETH or Solana on Sol. It might be cheaper on Solana, so I encourage you to try Sol. But either way, or even BTC, and just send an on-chain transaction, right? Go use these apps. It's very it's kind of very satisfying, and kind of makes it more real, right? It makes the feeling more visceral. So those are two things I would say are most interesting. And honestly, now there are just jobs that are like, hey, we don't need you to know about crypto, but we need you to be interested enough and enthusiastic enough and positive enough to come and want to learn. We'll help you learn the ropes here. You can come and learn the ropes on our balance sheet. Okay. But we just want you to have the temperament of someone who was eager to learn. So that's another option available as well. Just go get a job, and then now you're forced to learn, right? You're forced to survive. Is there anything else?
No, that was one question I picked. I thought it will help a lot of people. You can pick other questions. We can spend 5-7 minutes more, and then we'll wrap up this.
Yeah, I'm a finance guy. How can I get into non-tech job in Web3? Okay, so there's just a lot of stuff for finance people to do. Check out, first of all, I would just check out the DeFi protocols that are being built. There's just a lot of finance concepts that apply directly because a lot of the tech is actually just finance, right? Like borrow lending. How much should the interest rates be? How should we think about interest rates? Or, how do people in finance calculate risk? What is the, like, there are all these protocols that require people who have done this with large data sets, with lots of money. And a lot of those principles carry over. So I would say that there's a pretty direct role for people in traditional finance to get a job in decentralized finance. Outside of that, excuse me, you're obviously good at quant. And so, like there's just a lot of data analytics that goes into applications or protocols that launch. A lot of it is open source, right? So you're able to, you can actually run analytics on the blockchain because, going back to the spreadsheet analogy, if you think about a blockchain, it's basically a spreadsheet that everybody has read access to. Everybody in the world has read access to the Bitcoin spreadsheet or the Ethereum spreadsheet or the Solana spreadsheet, right? It's open. That's how I know that a transaction has been completed. You can go verify, I can go verify, anybody here can go verify. But not everybody has the right access. If you want to write on the spreadsheet, then you need to own the address into which you're writing from, right? That's why I'm sending a transaction. Okay. So if everybody has read access to a spreadsheet, then you can do a lot of interesting things, right? Like you can run analytics. When is the time when NFT mints take off? Oh, wow, I just figured out some alpha there, right? You can take advantage of that. There is a version of high frequency trading that happens on the Ethereum blockchain, which is a technical word called MEV. So if you Google MEV, minor extractable value, that's kind of like the technical equivalent of high frequency trading that happens in traditional finance on the Ethereum blockchain. So there's just a lot of opportunities for traditional finance folks. In fact, STEPN recently hired a chief financial officer. And as you can imagine, as we enter the bear market and people are getting more conservative with the way to spend their resources, they'll want someone to help them budget and runway and fundraising and things like this. So all in all, a lot of opportunities. All right. I'm going to now start speeding up. Let's see. Yeah, Vedant has posted a super helpful link. So you can check out the block explorer for, I believe it is Bitcoin he's posted. Yes, that's Bitcoin. And let's see. I think I've covered most of it. Marketers, community managers, designers, beginners, economic students. It's really all the same stuff. Just like, the thing I would say is, hey, you all have a name, you're a person, you're not just an economic student, like maybe there is an artistic side of you. Like, don't close off parts of your personality and just define yourself as the economic student or the finance guy or, the, like a marketing gal or whatever, like you're more than that. You're a full person and you should bring your whole self to crypto because there may be a way for you maybe get interested in something that has nothing to do with what you've studied or what you did in Web 2. I'm a lawyer by training. I don't even understand, what I'm doing in the space, to be honest, because like I don't practice law anymore. I don't advise companies on incorporation. I do angel investing, which has nothing to do with being a lawyer, or I'm usually doing biz dev and building or international expansion, right? So which is mostly like operations and biz dev. Developer relations, things like this. So you bring your whole self and discover what you may like is what I would say for folks. With that, let's see. I love that this is peer-to-peer. This is what I love about this. Like there are many people posting helpful. Nitin Yadav posted like Whiteboard Crypto as a YouTube channel. So that's what I'm most excited about. Y'all will have like peer-to-peer learning groups, and you'll have better resources than I ever will be able to give you. So take full advantage of that. So let's see. I think I've covered everything here. Is there anything else you want me to cover, Uttam?
No, I think you kind of gave a good overview of everything and showed them the possibilities and the opportunities, which was the main intent of this session, folks. So the idea was not to make you understand everything, right? The idea was to make you curious enough for next 6 weeks. There's a lot of things you have like posted 140 questions. Keep them noted. There will be a lot of people coming in for every topic specific. Ask them, and the intent of this session was just to give you a high level view of the opportunities that are out there in this space and how you can leverage it, how you can plan your journey, how you can plan it, right? So that was the intent. I hope you will stick around for next 6 weeks and learn everything that we are trying to teach you, educate you for free, so that you can use that money to experiment, to build something, to explore more, right? So that is the intent. And thank you so much once again, Akshay, for doing this. Folks, after this session, we are going to hang out in our Discord community. There are Discord OGs who are going to probably answer a lot of questions that you have. So come there, hang out, and we'll chill there. And that was all for today. Once again, thank you, Akshay.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, folks. Good luck to everybody. I hope to see you all working on awesome projects, and I hope you absolutely crush it in your careers. God bless, and good night.
Awesome. Bye-bye.